In this video I am going to show you the 7 most important tips for jasmine plant winter care that keeps your jasmine healthy and growing. Winter is the dormancy time of jasmine plant, therefore mistakes can cause a dying and wilting jasmine. Therefore it is extremely important to follow up these points. So let's start, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. First, let's talk a little about the growing season of jasmine plant. So it's a permanent summer's flowering plant, loves a full day in a direct sunlight, because it's a tropical plant. Jasmine plant starts its growth as the spring starts and continue to produce lots of buds and flowers all over the summers. But as the winter starts, the temperature starts to decrease as well, and jasmine gradually stops to grow. But the good news is that jasmine plant is a hardy plant, and can go through the winter days very easily. You just have to follow up a few important points. The most important thing in jasmine plant winter care is to change its location. Most probably your jasmine must be placed in a sunny spot, but in winter suns comes up very rarely, and the night frost can be a harmful thing, so the best way to save your jasmine plant is to move it under a bright shade. If winters are extremely cold on your side, you should move it indoors as well. It is better to move it in a shade, but if you don't do that it's still okay, because jasmine plant is a hardy plant. Another important thing is to keep the watering in control. Jasmine plant likes a moderate watering, but in the dormancy time, it doesn't requires much moisture to grow. And if you keeps on adding water, this can cause root rotting and a stressed condition on the plant. As jasmine plant is already in winter stress, and overwatering over that can cause a dying jasmine plant, therefore you should be careful. The best way to avoid overwatering and water blockage in the soil is to wait for the soil to dry out a little, and then water. If your soil mix is well draining, it will be okay. But if it's not drying time to time, then you should change it. For that, a well-draining soil mix for jasmine plant is added in the description box, must check it out. You can replace the soil, but wait for the springs to do that. In winters you should not disturb the roots, otherwise it will be harmful. Just try to water as less as you can. The next important thing to discuss in jasmine plant winter care is about fertilization. So yes, you can fertilize your jasmine plant in winters, but very less. In the winter days, jasmine plant doesn't grow much, and therefore it doesn't requires much nutrition as well. If your soil mix is fertile, it can go through the whole winter season, but if it's not, you can add a low-dose fertilizer once a month. For that, our homemade organic NPK fertilizer works best, because it's a slow-release fertilizer and doesn't harm your jasmine roots. It's added in the description box, must give it a try. Just add a small amount of this every month, and water carefully. In the winter season, jasmine plant may show you drying and wilting leaves, that are very common. The main reason behind this is the effect of temperature, and it's completely okay, unless it's due to the overwatering condition. Mostly the lower leaves turns brown and falls off, but if the other leaves are turning as well, then you should pay some attention. Another important thing in jasmine plant winter care is to avoid its propagation. As winter is its resting time, therefore you shouldn't try to propagate jasmine. Propagation of jasmine plant requires an ideal temperature and humidity, therefore it would not grow well, unless you have a controlled environment. Repotting and pruning of jasmine plants, especially in winters, should be avoided as well. While repotting of jasmine plant, you will definitely disturb its roots. This thing can lead to a dying and wilting jasmine plant. Therefore repotting must be done in the growing season. Wait a while, and as the spring starts you can repot your jasmine successfully. In the same way, pruning should be avoided as well, because it's not beneficial in winters. The plant would not grow back, that's why it's useless in winters. But pruning of jasmine plant is very growth boosting thing, only if it's done in the spring season. There are a few other things as well, that can help you grow lots of jasmine flowers. So follow up this video, to know more about that.